Support for this podcast comes from Wild Turkey Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Let's tune in to their one-on-one with Jamal, a real bartender from Old Fourth Ward in Atlanta.
I really get into the backstory of whatever I'm pouring, out of respect. There are literally years of experience behind these bottles. Wild Turkey, same recipe since 1942. If you want a true classic, this is what you want to order.
Wild Turkey. Wild Turkey Distilling Company, Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. Copyright 2020, Campari America, New York, New York. Never compromise, drink responsibly.
Empire.
Deal back to Hachimura. Konnichiwa.
First off, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
It was more just shocking to hear from him and understanding that he gets the most assists from me and the most spoon-fed baskets ever.
You know, the culture is actually damn good.
To sit up there and to say you don't have a culture problem in the nation's capital, everything about the organization points to a culture issue.
One guy took a in another guy's shoe.
I'm a little pissed off about it, but I know how I am. I was kind of expecting it. It's disrespectful.
It was like Eric Killmonger going for total domination. What tongue is mine?
We're not going to be fucking sucked this year. We're the Stanley Cup champions! Yeah!
This podcast is all over social media, so follow us on Twitter at BeltwayBroPod, Instagram at Beltway_sports_bros_podcast. Also the Facebook group, just search Beltway Sports Bros Podcast. And you can also find us at BeltwaySportsBros.com. There's a podcast player right on the front page. If someone you know doesn't want to or know how to download a podcast app or even knows what a podcast is, just tell them to go to the website and hit play. Simple as that. Thank you for joining us today. We are the Beltway Sports Bros. I'm Matt Vizana, and as always, my brother Noel. Hey, Noel, a little bit later, we're going to have our good friend Matt Modderno to talk some whiz.
The third bro.
And also, it's Friday, so another installment of...
Top 5 Friday.
Indeed. So stay tuned for that.
Speaking of Fridays,
what?
There's a couple big things on Friday, man. You got Mortal Kombat.
Oh shit! I'm so excited about that.
And then the finale of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That show's getting good.
It is getting good.
I was not impressed the first couple episodes, but it's gotten serious.
I mean, it's more I told you it's like more Avengers, a little darker version of it.
I thought it was going to be like a buddy comedy. That's what it started seeming like it was going to be.
Yeah, Abbott and Costello bullshit.
But it's gotten serious. Very few one-liners or anything.
Down to business.
I was watching it with Evan. I was like, damn, this thing's almost rated R.
It is.
I mean, there's a lot of death and
nice carnage. I love it.
A lot of carnage. Yeah.
I love it.
And it's not just like Marvel deaths. It reminds me of like when Wolverine, not Logan, but...
no, not Logan. Yeah.
Not to that extent. But the one before that, he comes in and he does the double...
the double stab to the chest on that dude? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, Jesus, all right.
Well, speaking of carnage, Mortal Kombat is going to be no holds barred. I don't know if the movie's going to be good or not. The trailers look like they're okay, but I can tell you one thing. They pull no punches in that movie.
I would hope not. I want to see some serious fatalities.
I want to see spine ripped out of back.
Well... I would hope so.
Yeah, it better be old school. Finish him.
I don't like in the promo Scorpion's voice in it.
Awful.
What is
that? And that's what turned me off.
He's like, get over here.
Get over here.
It's like, come on. We can't get that right.
Right.
Just take it off the fucking game.
And if it's shitty, don't put it in the trailer.
Oh, God.
You know, at least let me be annoyed when he does it and like rips a guy's skull out. And then I'll be like, all right, I can accept that.
Yeah.
Because the kill was awesome.
Yeah.
So those are two big things coming up, man.
Thank you for reminding me. I totally forgot about it.
That's what I'm here for, man. Yeah. That's why we're bros.
All right. Well, we got a long show, so let's get this thing rolling, shall we?
Do it.
All right. So to start things off, Noel's old friend, Alex Smith, is back in the news.
Unbelievable. I almost begged you not to do this, but I understand why you're doing it, so I'm game.
Yeah. This is not so much about Alex. This is about the Washington coaching staff and the medical staff. So Smith was interviewed at length in a Sports Illustrated article entitled "Healed Enough to Walk Away." You know, no need to talk, Noel, on this one. Keep your thoughts to yourself.
I'm fine. Continue.
This is where he talked about his decision to retire, among many other topics. The topic that stood out to me and the Washington fans was when he was trying to make his comeback and to prove to the new coaching staff, obviously Ron Rivera and the crew there, that he would like to continue playing. There's a lot here, so I'm going to go through a few excerpts of the article as briefly as I can. So the article reads as follows. Sometimes Smith saw his coaches flinch when they spied the blood that dripped from underneath his brace. He told friends he would not complain if they released him, told them he wasn't good enough or deemed him too much of a risk. Still, he did not understand the tactics his coaches used to keep him sidelined. First, they placed him on the physically unable to perform list, the PUP, even though world-renowned doctors had pronounced him physically able to perform. At camp, players wore GPS trackers. That's something new. And none traversed 4,000 yards a day on average like Smith, whose coaches asked him to carry extra weight, push sleds, and hurdle bags for drills. Tasks he had never done in 15 pro seasons, let alone before his leg had to be rebuilt.
Did he have to carry pads for the players that were actually contributing to?
Pads and helmets? Yeah, he was doing that.
Oh.
Anyway, Smith believed the team wanted to see if it could break him. And if it sounds paranoid, the team physician agreed with him. They seemed to be asking, Dr. Robin West says, quote, what can he withstand? Are you sure you're clearing him? The coaches would ask. West would try and explain. The short answer is yes. The disclaimer, she would assess his leg based on informed medical opinion. Quote, I got very little support, she said. He almost died. He almost lost his leg. Why would he want to? Reasonable question. That's not your decision, West told them. Smith found the coaches patronizing, meaning he believed they preferred a cute story, the comeback already at the end. His father, Doug, says he believes the team sabotaged the return. None of the Smiths could figure out why. The coaches could worry about the injury in his future, but they were not experts. Quote from Alex, I'd rather have somebody right in my face say, what are you thinking? It pissed me off. Something of note as well here, it was part of the article, but I'm going to briefly talk about it, that Dr. Robin West, who was in Project 11 all over that thing, who was a Washington football doctor, resigned from the team after 18 years in the league just 2 weeks ago. This is definitely a new side of the story. Sorry to bore you with all that, everyone, but I thought it needed to be said if you haven't read the story. So, Noel, what are your thoughts on this? I'm so interested.
I mean, it's a one-sided story. First off, can we say that? We'll agree on that.
Sure. It's his side.
It's his side.
And Dr. Robin West as well, too.
I mean, and sorry, if I saw a leg that had a medical contraption around it with bolts and needles embedded in it with blood coming out, I might wince a little bit too looking at it. I'd be like, damn, man, the hell is that? He seems like he's very hypersensitive in a lot of the things. It's a double-edged sword here. If the coaches didn't give a shit and said, you know what, you're good, go, there would be backlash and criticism of that action, okay? Now they're being criticized because, to me, they seem to have been being a little bit too careful. If the guy wants to lose his leg, that's his business from a standpoint of the doctor saying that. For whatever reason, they were not convinced that he was able to play football. And I don't necessarily think it was because of some huge quarterback controversy or anything else. I don't think Rivera disliked Alex.
I don't think so either.
I don't think that he thought, well, I've got Kyle Allen, screw you, go sit at home. I don't think it was that either. I genuinely believe that these guys were worried about his well-being. And that's okay. They saw a dude on the field, his leg snap in half and the bone come out of the skin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They saw this on TV just like everybody else. They've seen the trials and tribulations that Alex Smith has been through just like everybody else. They've seen this leg, this mangled piece of meat, just like everybody else. They've seen that he can't walk without a limp, just like everybody else. So yeah, there might be some trepidation on whether Alex Smith should be in a freaking full contact gladiator sport on Sundays.
They've admitted that already, that they were concerned about him. Have it on their conscience or whatever, reason being, looking at his family with his 3 boys and his wife and saying they're letting this guy back on the field. And I think anybody would have trepidation over that, any NFL team. Now, I just think that they went a little over the top with what their expectations were for him. They're doctors, again, world-renowned doctors. I mean, he went to that hospital for military vets and, shrapnel and all that shit, like had to get a special congressional pass or something to be able to get into that hospital. I mean, these are the top people in the world. And not to mention, the doctor employed by Washington said that he was fine. He was cleared. they don't have coaches. I mean, the coaches don't have a medical degree. What the hell do they know?
They have the ability to see whether a person can play the game of football or not, though.
That's fair. But if they allowed him back on the field, why was he not being treated like everybody else? Why would they make him run 4,000 yards a day and carry extra weight and
Matt,
push
there's
sled?
doctors and experts that say it's okay for everybody to start taking off masks and doing this and doing that and doing other things. That doesn't mean you have to agree with it. They had him pushing sleds because they wanted to see it. Can you freaking move?
Right.
Okay? He was starting as a rookie, basically, in his life again on a football field. And they wanted to see what type of stress level Alex Smith could take. I don't have an issue with any of it. Personally, he got more games than he should have. I don't know what he's bitching about. Yes, did he get out there based on they had no bodies left? Whatever.
It's just weird, though, because it seemed like Rivera was pushing for him to start since the beginning. You know, obviously Haskins was out there and they were giving him a shot, but it always just seemed like in the back of his mind, that's who he wanted to start. It was like, oh, well, Alex is here. Don't forget about him.
In the background, yeah, we talked about that. His shadow and him coming out of his hole and walking on the sidelines. It always seemed like it. We talked about this before the season started. This was going to happen at some point if Alex was able to do it. So don't come down now on Rivera. Rivera could have put you out to pasture and put you on a freaking ice float a long time ago, my friend. You couldn't chew the leather anymore, and everybody could see that. Did you come back to a certain extent and prove a lot of people wrong? Yes. But you can't tell me that there's a single coach in this league that would have just blindly jumped in and said, yeah, man, here's the ball, take it. I don't see that. And for him too, I've got issues with Rivera, issues with the organization beyond this one. And for you to all of a sudden come out with these stories, and this isn't the first time he's critiqued Rivera and the organization for the way they treated the matter. And from his standpoint and from everybody else's, it looks like it was squashed or taken out of context or whatever it was. And now he's coming up with a full fucking dossier on what the hell went down from his perspective, that people were looking at him weird and, weren't giving him the time of day. Dude, we got an organization to run here. Believe me, if I drop dead tomorrow, my company where I work is going to continue on. The world doesn't stop for Alex Smith. And now he's given in Hawaii, at his fucking house in Hawaii, he's given this spout off about how things were and how he felt. You played in virtually half a season. You did your business. You got comeback player of the year. Go out with a little bit of class. You don't have to burn the house down on your way out, okay? He knew he wasn't going to be with Washington next season. No shit. The only reason why they kept you last year was because you had so much damn money on the books. Feel lucky about that. Go build an addition on your Hawaii house and shut the hell up. How about that?
All right. Well, I think that's a good way to end it there with Alex.
I can promise everybody this, okay? I don't care if Alex Smith drops fucking dead. Okay?
Jesus.
I will not be talking about Alex Smith on this show again.
All right. What if they sign him back on the roster?
What does never again mean to you?
What if he does a mass shooting? Would you talk about it?
Oh, maybe. All right.
Maybe.
That one, on the fence on that one.
All right, that's fair. Sick of competing against thousands of professional bettors with algorithms? What about spending all day analyzing salary caps and lineups using other daily fantasy sites? Then you should try Monkey Knife Fight. Amazing name, by the way. I've used most, if not all, the other sites, and trust me, I just stopped because I don't have time to put all that work in. MKF is easy to play. MKF offers all of the major sports plus UFC, golf, esports, soccer, college basketball, NASCAR. You can pretty much bet on anything your little heart desires. MKF offers fun contests that are super easy to play. For example, there's a game called More or Less. Simply pick more or less on different player props. Think Patrick Mahomes. Will he go over his 288.5 yard number? Select more. Think Lamar Jackson. Will he stay under his 212.5 yard number? Select less. Get both right and win. Simple, right? We're getting old. The less we have to think about, the better. I've been using this site personally for the last few months, and it's so user-friendly. And honestly, it's made me actually care about what happened in, for example, the Rockets Magic game the other night. Quite possibly the least interesting game in the NBA this year. So go to monkeyknifefight.com and use our promo code BELTWAY, and you get a free $5 game just for signing up. No strings attached, I promise. This offer is not going to last long, so tap the link in the episode description and sign up. Again, using our promo code BELTWAY. So easy, even a drunk monkey could do it.
Empire.
All right, well, staying with the NFL, the league announced on 420 of all days that, that they will no longer test for Delta-9 THC carbolic acid, which is the chemical that's commonly found in cannabis. This is going to be during the off-season, spanning from April 20th, of course, 420, until August 9th. And the NFL will be moving away from serious disciplines during the season as well. With the new CBA, players can still test positive for THC as long as they don't exceed the threshold of 150 nanograms. That's a new one for me. Originally, it was 35 nanograms.
I mean, you think these guys know what the hell they're talking about?
How many nanograms they're putting in?
When they're pulling on a bong? You think they know how many nanograms there are?
How many nanograms are we working with there?
I mean, what?
They go to their weed dealer. Hey, shoot me straight. Nanograms?
Yeah.
But they are still going to issue fines, but it's going to go to a medical gathering to see how many nanograms are acceptable. But nobody's going to be suspended anymore. So I think this is a good thing. It's a long time coming. I mean, the new medical research on THC has proven that it helps with injuries. You know, hopefully it can avoid painkiller addictions, which is rampant in the NFL, especially after they're out of the league. And thinking about how crazy it is, the amount of guys that have lost entire seasons based off of fucking weed. Who gives a shit?
Seriously. Trent Williams, hey, don't like the dude, but he's been an advocate for this going for a long time, man.
Yeah, we got screwed. Remember, we suspended those 3 games at the home stretch. They were going for the playoffs.
Absolutely. Well, a lot of teams did. A lot of teams
Josh
did.
Gordon, his career is over.
I mean, he had a few other things too, but yeah.
But it started with weed. Yeah. The gateway drug, Noel. The gateway drug.
Well, you're right, Matt. This is absolutely a long time coming. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that they did it on 420.
It's hilarious.
I think it's absolutely insane. But, you know, as long as they don't make it overly complicated and they say, hey, look, guys, you got this window of time where you can smoke the shit out of it if you need to. If it takes away some of the muscle aches, some of the stress you're going through, whatever the case may be, mazel tov. You know, but when you come back, it's time to work. My question is this, though. Some states, it's still illegal. So if you are in a situation, right, where you get this, not a suspension, but a fine, and you're from a state that doesn't have it medicinally or recreationally, how does that work?
Well, most states have decriminalized it at least.
No, I understand that. But doesn't that look a little bad when a guy gets caught smoking weed? Not like it hasn't happened before, but they're trying to somewhat open the door for it. But now if you're from a state that doesn't have it, where it's considered illegal, that you're still in your system and the league is allowing it to go forward.
I guess let the state decide. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm in staffing, right? And we placed all these people in Oregon where it's legal for recreational use.
Right.
But because the client was a national client, they went by the federal law. So it didn't matter if it was recreational or not. If they tested positive, which plenty did with these particular positions, they were out.
Right.
So, you know, you would talk to them like, hey, have you done anything like that? You know, have that conversation like, well, yeah, it's legal here.
I'm in Oregon. What the hell, man? I mean, shit. That's why I live here.
But not so fast.
And that was my point, kind of, I hope there's no weird loopholes in state laws and things like that are going to mess things up for the progress that the NFL's making.
I think the majority of the teams are in major markets, which typically are more on the liberal side. I can't even think of a team that isn't in a legal state, or at least decriminalized.
I guarantee I can't think of a team that doesn't have a few guys on there that smoke weed, too.
Oh, well, they all do. I mean, not all of them. The quarterbacks don't.
Yeah. Well, they're
squeaky clean.
They're there from sun up to sundown while everybody else is partying. Hey, man, come on out. Sorry, man. We've got Dallas on Sunday.
Well, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. He's
doing
partying.
his own thing.
Yeah.
Weed might be involved. I don't know.
I'm sure there's plenty of things involved. God, that guy's. Hey, good thing we didn't bet the farm on that one, huh?
Oh. Talk about dodging a fucking bullet. My God.
Because people would still be clamoring for the dude. And I wonder how long the Texans tried to hold on to that information.
Here's a question. Would you trade before, it was like 17 first-round picks and like your entire defense or whatever they wanted, but would you trade a first-round pick, the 19th overall pick for Deshaun Watson, knowing that he has like 50 charges against him?
Just taking a flyer and just hoping the stuff goes away?
What would you do with that?
There's a lot there.
There is.
If it were one or two, maybe I'd, roll the dice with it and say, all right, he'll get out of this one. Reuben Foster it a little bit and hope that it goes. But there's a lot to unpack there. This is going to be
like
a long
serial
process.
Massage
Allegedly,
parlor.
Matt. Allegedly.
It's like 50 women.
He needs to stay home and smoke some more weed. He won't have the motivation to be going out and doing all this shit. That's for sure.
See, there you go. It's all come full circle, Noel.
Yeah, it has. See what I did there?
Eat some Cheez-Its and enjoy yourself.
Weed will cure what ails you.
Coming up next, Bullets Forever contributor, BLEAV in Wizards podcast host, Matt Modderno. We will be talking some whiz. Stay tuned for that.
I'm Byron Kerr, your host for the Curly W podcast. Join me on the Curly W for the very latest on the Washington Nationals. We'll give you an inside look as to what's happening with the Nats right now, and give you also a chance to visit with Nats players and coaches, present and past, to tell you what it's like and what they hope to accomplish with the Nationals. From Fredericksburg to Nats Park, West Palm Beach to Rochester, Wilmington to Harrisburg, it's all Nats baseball. Subscribe to Curly W wherever you get your podcasts. Another great show from Empire Media.
Home sweet. All right, at this point, I could use some new surroundings. Home. At IKEA, we get it. So we're helping you to make home feel a little more like your favorite places. Kitchen, more like stylish juice bar. Bathroom, that's now a spa, my friend. Living room, how about meditative oasis? Nice. Even better when you can do it yourself with our simple, stylish, and affordable solutions. Get started at IKEA-USA.com/myhomeproject today.
Empire.
All right, let's welcome in the third bro, of course, as we tend to call him, from the BLEAV in Wizards podcast, which is released every Monday. That is right? Monday?
Whenever we can get it out, man. We'll take what we can get at this point. We try for Mondays.
Hey, we're right there with you. And Bullets Forever contributor Matt Modderno. How's it going, buddy? How are you?
Good to be here as always. Like you said, we have finally some good news for a change. I'll take it.
Finally. Every conversation we've ever had has been negative about the Wizards.
No, every single one.
I really think since...
I'm not ready to jump on that bandwagon just yet, boys.
Oh, well, of course not. But I will say there was some hope, at least, at the beginning of the season, or before the season started.
Like a 2-week window.
Yeah, maybe-ish. But it's probably short-lived, this whole thing, as everything with the Wizards is, except for the losing. That tends to be. But, it's good to say some positive stuff about the Wiz for a change.
Should we knock the bad news out of the way with Denny? And that way we can start with something bad and keep our track record together?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Denny, that looked bad. It's actually better news than we thought. What is it, a hairline fracture? Speaking of Alex Smith that we were talking about, gee, I was a little worried about that when Jordan Bell covered his leg.
That was a little overkill.
Don't look at it, Denny.
Yeah, don't. I thought that the towel was holding the leg on, the way he was reacting to it.
Tied it up.
And then they send him off in a wheelchair. I'm looking for some
blood on the court
exposure.
Yeah. There's nothing there.
Yeah, there was nothing there.
Actually, a hairline fracture, it was probably the best thing could have happened to him, other than just like a regular sprained ankle. How bad it looked. He's going to be out for the rest of the year, right? But he'll be fine. This isn't like an Achilles tear or tearing your ACL or something. This is not.
Remember when
close.
Kevin Ware for Louisville broke his leg in half at the shin and the bone poked out? Like
God.
that's what I was expecting, the way they reacted and the way he reacted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is a tough kid. He's done like military service and shit, and he's like crying on the court. And the leg kind of like buckled back. I'm like, oh shit, Achilles, like something bad. And yeah, I mean, given the range of things it could have been, missing the rest of this year, presumably back for the start of next season, it could have been a lot worse.
I thought Daniel Gafford's injury looked worse than his.
Sure.
You knew exactly what it was with the sprain. We're like, oh, God, of course. I thought, toast, we'll never see him in a Wizards uniform ever again.
I'm going to play positive on the Denny thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is where my positivity comes in. If, for him, since the injury is not a bad one, I think this is a good thing for him. At this moment in time, this team, he has become what I feared. He's a poor man's Otto Porter. He has no role except for times where when he touches the ball, I really think he has some serious attributes. I'm a huge fan of Denny, but they are not playing him correctly. 9 times out of 10, he looks like a fish out of water, except for that glam play that he makes or a quick dish off to Len. For me, I think him taking a step back in this cluster of a season that they've had, no summer league, nothing. He's been thrown to the wolves. He's watching 2 stars basically take 75% of the volume, and he stands in the corner with his thumb up his butt, bricking threes.
His tuchus?
Well, I mean, he is from Israel after all, right? I think that him taking a step back, maybe reassessing things, dealing with the leg injury, coming back fresh in the summer league next year if they have one, I think it's a good thing. Personally, I don't think he was bringing a whole lot to the table is my point.
I think the problem isn't that you're losing his production. It's that he was playing that many minutes and starting for a reason because there's literally no one behind him. It might be the most important position to have depth at in the league. And they have the worst small forward core in the entire league. And now they're down a body. Like, I think that's the biggest thing. But I'm with you. Like, you learn a lot from being on the bench. I don't know how long it'll be back before he's watching. But I think Rui talked a lot about last year just being able to, like, when he was hurt, he got to watch and learn and see some stuff play out. That helped him. I think you're right. They totally misuse him for the most part. You know, he over fouls and things like that because of the difference in style of play and officiating from league to league. So maybe seeing that helps. Maybe seeing that you can't go up for...
Well, speed as well. He probably doesn't see that in the Euro League. So
yeah, how often does he get his shot pinned against the glass? I mean, it's at least once a game, right? Like, so learning that would be good. So I think, like you said, as long as it doesn't have lasting effects, it could have been worse.
Well, it's not just on the offensive side where they misuse him. I think they misuse him on the defensive side. They treat him like a Rui. They treat him like a versatile big or a small, and they put him on guys that he doesn't fit the mold against a lot of times. A lot of times the guy's too big, or he's a guy that can handle the rock, bring it baseline. How many times does he bump a guy with his chest off the baseline? Because the guy can blow by him because he's 6'5" with speed. In both sides of the basketball court, they are really putting this guy to the wolves, and I think it's time to slow things down for him and, like you said, have him watch from afar a little bit and maybe rethink things. And now he has to think about his leg, which maybe getting his mind off basketball for a few minutes might be a good thing for him.
But who does he match up with then? I just want to play devil's advocate for a second. If he's either on guys that are too big or guys that are too quick, there really aren't guys his size and athleticism level on many teams.
Well, the way basketball is now, yes, he's that 3-4 tweener guy, I think.
Not in a good way, in my opinion.
And not in a good way, right. I mean, he does have to put some meat on his bones. And I think that he will improve defensively and be able to be that versatile guy. But I think when you start a guy who's so young, who hasn't had the preseason, you stick to one game plan and go with it, have him become improved in one spot, fight in that spot, and then start adding things to his plate. Not, this game, you're going to take this guy, you're going to take a big this game, then you're going to take a small this game. The guy's head is on a swivel. He doesn't even know what planet he's on.
Well, you have to have a coach that has a plan for these things.
Bingo.
So
that's a whole nother animal, yes, obviously.
Matt, I was going to ask you, what are they going to do at that position now? I mean, there's very little depth. I mean, what do you just move Davis over there, I guess, to start, like they were doing at the end of the game against Golden State?
To be honest with you, that would be my core group is have Rui and Bertans out there when they're both healthy and go that route. He seems committed to this 3 small guard thing, which to like continue to enrage the entire fan base over and over again. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to add somebody. And if you guys want to be really depressed, I have a list of just some guys that are sort of out there and available.
Oh, you came prepared. Look at you.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Shameless plug. This will be up on Bullets Forever somewhere tomorrow, but you get the sneak peek.
Sweet.
CJ Miles, cut from the Wizards last year.
Oh, right. No way. Alan
Crabb, cut from the Minnesota Timberwolves last year. Mm-hmm. Mario Hezonja, cut from the Memphis Grizzlies last year.
He's a Euro, right?
It fits the Tommy Shepard mold.
Hey, Euros. Oh, let's do it.
Andre Roberson cut from the Brooklyn Nets this year after 7 games. Gerald Green cut 2 years ago from the Houston Rockets. Kyle Korver, not picked up this year. Thabo Cephalosha, not picked up this year. Damari Carroll, not picked up this year. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, not picked up this year. Glenn Robinson, cut
That
by
was
the
my
Kings.
guy in the offseason, by the way, that I thought would be a perfect fit. Huh.
You might get your chance.
I might.
And then like Caleb Holmesley out of Liberty that they had on the training camp roster. There's slim pickings out there available right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think Roberson, you could kind of plug and play a little bit there, or Kidd-Gilchrist is at least defensively somewhat serviceable.
He's a very good defender. But I mean, you're not going to get much out of him on offense, but who gives a shit?
Right, exactly. I think at this point you get a body that can just fill in, obviously, on the second unit.
Someone
and
breathing.
Just hope maybe you can strike lightning in a bottle, and maybe he can get you, I don't know, 6-3 or something like that, and be done with it. I mean, you're not having delusions of grandeur and scratch and claw. And I was totally against that 3-guard lineup, but the way how thin this forward spot has gotten, I don't blame Brooks at this point in time for utilizing it a little bit more.
I don't know if that was positive or negative. It was kind of somewhere in the middle. So let's move on to what we're here for. A little celebration of the fact that the Wizards have won 6 straight games and 8 of 9 games and have actually moved in to the 10th spot, very close to the 9th, which is, in case you don't know, have the play-in round, just a little play-in tournament, in order to get to the 8th seed, which is competing with the 7th and 8th seeds at the bottom. So, Wiz beat some actually really good teams over this stretch. I mean, that Golden State game looked like it was a total loss. And then Beal and Westbrook took over the last 5 minutes, Noel. Clutch time. They did it. And Westbrook kind of shoved it down their throat. He couldn't even hold on to the ball the entire game. And then all of a sudden, he can magically dribble and drive to the basket. I don't know how he does it, but he's maddening and extraordinary all at the same time.
You remember in Space Jam where they're really struggling and Jordan gives them his secret stuff? I feel like that's what they roll out for Westbrook sometime with 6 minutes to go in the game, right before that last media timeout. He goes from sloppy, turning the ball over, airballing free throws, losing the ball on a dunk. And then all of a sudden he's hitting pull-up threes to win the game. And you're like, oh, okay. Why can he do that?
Doesn't make any sense. Mike's secret stuff, yep. I think he called it. Yeah, there you go. Maybe that's the answer. Well, he was technically in Space Jam, if you remember, as Muggsy Bogues. That's the monster.
That's right.
We got to do a side-by-side on that. Yeah. I mean, it's uncanny.
That should be the art for this episode of the show.
I think it might be. I think it might be.
Good idea. See, you are the third
there
bro.
You go.
You're already
on it, boys.
I think with the Westbrook dynamic, it's one of those things where he does everything possible for the Wizards to lose the game and everything possible for them to win at times. He grabbed 20 freaking rebounds in the game.
Let me jump in real quick. I actually tweeted out, somebody said, and it was on Facebook actually, I think on your site, the Wizards Nation, who said that he has to actually play defense or play out on the three-point line against Curry. And I was thinking, all right, well, he's actually going to have to stay there and not get rebounds because he's going to actually have to play out to the friggin' logo against this guy. Obviously, Curry missed, I think, all of it, everything in that game, but he got 20 rebounds. That's unbelievable in that circumstance, how far away he was against, away from the rim. I was just really surprised. I thought it'd be 2 or 3 rebounds.
I already said, first off, I was the one that said that to you, and I talked about the Donovan Mitchell aspect of things, and these guys are bombing threes, and he's standing ass to ass with freaking Robin Lopez down low when these guys are wide open from three-point range and shooting from the logo. That's why he's grabbing 20 boards. Look at him off the free throw lines, for God's sake. What the fuck are you doing down there? He's sitting here boxing out Alex Lynn to get a board off a free throw. Okay, yeah, give it. He grabs the ball. He pushes it forward. Lynn can grab it and give it to you out on the wing, and you can push it just as fast, my friend. Nobody needs you to be down there ripping boards down every moment of the day. You've got guys out there that can jack threes from all over the place, and he's standing in the paint, and I've seen him leave his player. I've gone back in film and seen him specifically leave his player, whether it be off a pick and roll or whether it be just the guy standing there on the weak side, and he'll just flutter away and go back into the paint and grab the rebound. And if a guy makes one swing pass or one good pass off a pick and roll, that guy's wide open. Why? Because Westbrook thinks it's more important to grab boards than defend his man. Now, in the last 5 minutes, he changes his tune. He starts pressing the guards. He starts making things happen as a guard should. And that's the issue that I have. It's fool's gold with this 20 rebound shit.
Yeah, but triple doubles, bro.
Damn you.
Triple dubs.
I mean, am I wrong?
The post game last night was infuriating because he was not good for most of that game, despite the stat line. The shooting was awful. The turnovers were awful. 10 of the rebounds really didn't mean much, although the other 10 were still good. But they talked about how he carried them on his back the entire game. And I was like, what did I watch that's so different than what Jason Smith watched?
It wasn't what Westbrook said, right? It was what Jason Smith
said.
And
the post-game guys were just like, oh my God, we would have been blown out by 40 without Westbrook tonight. I'm like, or probably would have been the same.
17, right?
And that's fine and all. He does play a contributing factor in them winning the games. I'm not denying that. He's a big reason why they are in the spot that they're in at the 10th spot.
For both reasons.
But I just feel like everybody gets so enamored with these numbers and the tickers on the bottom with these triple and double aspects. Nobody's digging in a little bit and saying, hey, look at their record. This is what we intended. We know he can get triple doubles, but is he playing defense? Why is the guard that he is playing against scoring 30? Nobody asks these hard questions. And I'm just wondering, is my hatred run that deep that my eyes are skewed at this point?
Well, Curry scored 17, so that's a positive. He scored 49 the day before. I think they caught him at a good day.
That's jet lag.
It was jet lag, but I don't disagree with you, Noel. At the same time, there's a reason that he's the only guard that's ever done anything remotely like this in the history of the NBA. I think that he is overrated in some areas, but you can't disagree with the fact that he does come up in clutch situations. Every player with high usage is going to, have issues throughout the game because they're playing pretty much the entire game. You bring in Ish Smith and he's like, he's got a positive plus minus. Well, that's great because he played like 12 minutes or whatever it is. When you're playing the entire game, there's more chances to make mistakes. He couldn't do the same thing as Westbrook is.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can I ask you both a question, and I'd like you both to answer this. Do you think if you played in an NBA basketball game as a guard and you have 6 assists right off the bat when you have competent players around you, and 6 of your assists are just dump-offs to Robin Lopez on hooks or whether it be Len, these guys don't touch the ball when Westbrook isn't in the game. And the majority of his assists are to these guys. And I've asked you this question before, Matthew. What is, and I've said it multiple times, what is the end game here? Robin Lopez is not your long-term solution. Now, moving forward, why isn't he distributing the ball to other guys? Because that's where his numbers lie. That's where the easy out is. And that's what I'm seeing. When you're getting 7 assists to Lopez and Len, that's not avenue for success long-term to me.
I don't agree with that because it's being successful. When a guy's shooting...
I said long-term.
We talked about this too. Len and Lopez aren't going to be here next year. So we're talking about Daniel Gafford and...
Thomas Bryant, 3-point spot-ups, and, and lobs being thrown to Gafford. That's your bread and butter next year.
As a point guard, what they've gotten together, him and Gafford already, Westbrook and Gafford, is pretty incredible. He's played, 9 games, and they seem to have a pretty good rapport already. And it's not just the job of a point guard just to kick it out at 3-point range. It's also getting guys open, going towards the basket and kicking it up to guys like Gafford that can slam it home. If it's working every single time that he's shooting 90% from that little shitty hook shot that he does, you just keep going to the well till it doesn't work. Kind of off the subject, Brooks almost lost that game because he kept Lopez in.
Agreed.
I didn't look at his plus minus, but it must have been minus 80. Regardless of that, I just think as a point guard, you do what works until it doesn't. I don't know what you think, Matt.
Yeah, I think you're both right, just to play sort of Switzerland on this one. They just don't have a lot of better options, unfortunately. And I think some of it's ingrained because you look at those OKC teams and he never really had shooters around him. It was a lot of slashers or Steven Adams, guys that were going to take it around the basket. So I think there is some amount of familiarity with dumping it down to a big guy. So if you can make Lopez and Len look good, then hopefully you can make Gafford and Bryant look really good. And if he had real shooters around him, does he look better? He started to get a little more of a connection with Bertans going. If Rui becomes more of a consistently competent 3-point shooter, or if Brad gets his 3-point game back, can he play with Neto enough in hopefully a 5-point guard lineup eventually to be able to make Neto look good? I don't know. I think some of that's him. I think some of it's personnel. I think some of it's lack of an offensive scheme. It's just not all on him, but you want more from a $40 million guy, I think, too.
And one thing I wanted to say, I know you want to say something, Noel, but you didn't say anything when it came to Wall tossing it up to Gortat over and over again on those pick and rolls. I mean, that was applauded by us. Great job. But what's the difference?
I don't have an issue with it at all. I love the Gafford lobs. I think they're great. I just think that it inflates his stats. And he doesn't do what Wall did as far as driving and dishing out to three. You have one of the best three-point shooters in the entire league on your team. And I told you the other day, I counted throughout the game how many times Bertans actually touched a ball in a game, and it was a total of 7 times. I don't have an issue. I like the old school pick and roll, lob balls, giving it down low to a big man. I'm not this new guy that jack up threes all over the place, but damn, man. When you're zoned in and you have blinders on like a horse and you're saying, all right, Lopez is in, time to dump it off. It's either going to be Beal or Lopez shooting for the next 6 minutes. And Bertans is standing in a corner like this, waving his hands.
And that happened yesterday too.
Or Garrison Matthews or whomever it is, and Rui, where I even forget that he's in games, and Lopez is your main option. I have a problem with that. But no, I don't have an issue with him incorporating Lopez, Len, and Gafford into the offense. I have a problem with him using that as his focal point. That's the difference.
Well, he's not as good of a passer as Wall is. I mean,
well, you made the argument. I mean, I'm just dominating.
Your whole argument was that you were saying that all he's doing is passing it down to Lopez.
That's what he is. He is.
Okay. Well, he had a great pass to Bertans for 3 that they took the lead on at the end of the game against the Warriors. They do need more of that.
Yeah.
Again, last 5 minutes of the game, so apparently he learns how to pass during that time too, which is a thing of beauty.
Well, Matt, where do you think this team, let's say we make the 10 spot. We're right there. Honestly, if they continue this streak and a couple of teams before them slip a little bit, they could go a little bit higher the way things are. But where do you think this team, is this just adding an extra game, basically, is what we're looking at?
I think the most possible Wizards outcome is they finish 9th and they lose to the 10 seed in that first sort of part of the play-in round. So they get the worst possible draft pick out of it and don't actually advance into the playoffs.
Sounds
and get
right.
the least amount of playoff-ish experience because they wouldn't even get sort of that second play-in game. That just seems like what we're destined for at this point.
I believe it.
This has saved Brooks' job.
No.
If they make the 10 or the 9 seed, it saved his job, right? He's got his boy on his team. It's one of the big reasons why Westbrook is here, I would say. I read an article today that he feels justified, and after all the trade buzz, that he stuck through it and his stick-to-itiveness of staying with this Wizards team. I don't see it happening where Brooks is gone next year if this team finishes the way that they are. And even if they get ousted as the 9 seed, like you said, by the 10 seed, hey, this is new blood on this team. We've got Gafford now. We've got Denny. We're putting things together. We're shaking and moving. Bryant's going to be back. I just don't see them canning him.
This is a city where, and you guys live this better, more than I do, where the Washington football team, I almost called them by the wrong name, could be 4-10 on the season, but win the last 2 games of the year to go 6-10. And everyone's like, well, they finished on a hot streak. I could see us going 10-6 next year. Like, I could easily see this team finishing reasonably hot and everyone convincing themselves like, well, if we run it back next year with Gafford the whole time and we have Bryant the whole time and maybe we add a veteran small forward, we could slowly talk ourselves into
one away.
Yeah, exactly.
That carrot that's out there, that is always out there. Just one off season. Mm-hmm. That's all we need. One good pick is all we need. And I'm very fearful of that's what's going to keep Brooks around. Why shake things up now when there's a light at the end of the tunnel here? Don't you guys see it? Look how we played at the end of the year.
Well, speaking of Brooks, though, I wanted to ask you, Matt, has he done anything differently during this stretch? In your opinion, talking to Larry, anything like that he's changed up? Because, he maybe put a play together once or twice? I don't know.
I actually asked this question to Larry the other day about what has he seen that's been noticeably different. And I think one of the things Gafford's brought, and he's kind of mentioned this in comments, and they've shown it a few times, is his sort of locked into like communication defensively and things like that. Like, they're not always in the exact right places, but there seems to be like a little more emphasis on trying to hustle defensively. Like even Westbrook, I think, has slowly ramped that up. Again, to Noel's point, at least in key situations. And I don't think they did that early. So I don't know that there's anything been like meaningfully different. They still weirdly switch like 1 through 5 on things that don't remotely make sense, where you end up with like Neto or Ish Smith guarding Zion for large stretches of the fourth quarter. So,
or you pull Gafford out with 55 seconds left.
Yeah, to put Rolo in against, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, what the This guy is the reason that you're winning this game. In reality, regardless of what Westbrook and regardless of what Beal did, you could see his impact on the game. And then you go and take him out with 55 seconds left, and of course, disaster strikes, because Curry goes and back-to-back layups right away because there's nobody in the middle that can stop him, and he was doing an amazing job. The guy just is unreal. And then, yeah, like you said, Lopez, how long are you going to keep this guy in when it's so painfully obvious that you are losing your lead because of this guy? Yeah, they had to triple team him in the last Warriors game. That's what coaching is, though. They realized that they had to triple team Lopez, and they weren't going to let him do that shit again. So you have to pivot yourself. But sure enough,
he's coaching by feel, baby. They had one of the Wizards podcasts. They talked to Ish Smith this week, and he just kept being like, "Oh, you got to love playing for Coach Brooks because he coaches by feel. So if you're the hot hand out there, you're going to stay in." I don't actually think that's a good thing. Like some of these role players, like when you give them too many minutes, the wheels start to fall off. Because Ish went 2 for 5, and had 2 assists. It's like, well, we're going to leave him in for 5 more minutes longer next to Westbrook, Beal, and Bertans. Is like, is that really a great idea?
No. Yeah, I mean, when you have role players like that, and I've said it before, eventually they will rear their ugly head. Mm-hmm. Everybody has streaks of time where they play well, and utilize that as a spark for your starters to get back involved in the game, not as a catalyst to win the game. And he's this either or we've talked about how he treated Wagner before, where you said, since he was a role player in his career, he feels it's like an insult to put him in for a couple minutes and then take them out. That's a dumb philosophy. These guys are role players. They want to come in. They're hungry. They come in. They get a spark. They get a couple rebounds, a charge, and then you take them out. And they've done their purpose.
What about Troy Brown? We didn't actually know. We haven't even talked about this. When Troy Brown got traded, he had that interview. Did you see this, Matt?
He torched him on the way out.
He torched him on the way out, and he said that he asked him what he can do better or whatever, and he's like, what was his response? He slammed the door in his face?
Oh, no, that was for Otto Porter. He told
Otto Porter. I'm sorry. Yes, same shit.
He told Porter to do your fucking job.
That's right. And then slam the door in his face.
Yeah, but what is my job, coach? No one has told me, because we didn't have a players-only meeting halfway through the year to figure out what roles and responsibilities were. Like, it's nuts.
And that's another thing. He's such a wimp. He's not willing to give the hard questions or give the hard coaching to the players that he feels that matters. But it's okay for him to squash these little guys.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's another thing. He's just all around not a good coach. And I think that, unfortunately for us, this has saved him. He's Jay Grudening us and saving himself for one more year. I think Westbrook has gotten off his schneid because he's trying to save his friend. And that's another thing. I think he takes it personally because he sees that this team was on the downturn. And I think you're right. I think he stepped up his game even further than it already had been, because everybody knows that Brooks is on the hot seat. They can't get rid of Westbrook. Brooks is going to be the one that went. He's fighting for his coach, and that's admirable. I'm not saying that, but it's for the wrong guy.
I hadn't heard you guys talk about this one, but just last thing. How does Jerome Robinson go from not playing to starting to cut in like a matter of 8 days?
I know.
It was the brain tonic is what it was.
Jesus.
The only thing I can think of with the Wagner thing and with him is they didn't play Wagner because he was anticipating trading him. And with the Robinson thing, I think he was trying to maybe strike lightning in a bottle and maybe he'd bomb a couple of threes and say, see, guys, I told you I had something here.
I inspired
just to get some form of trade value. Yeah.
He's like a shitty boss. They do nothing for you, but when you succeed on your own,
you're welcome.
Then he wants to take credit. Yeah. I'm happy.
Absolutely.
Happy to help.
I love them.
Yeah.
Never had one of those before. Just right now, though.
Never had those. All right, Matt. Well, thank you for coming on short notice, by the way. I texted you like 2 hours ago, and you had a crazy day. I'm not even going to ask you what happened.
Nothing exciting.
What? Speaking of bosses,
exactly. Yeah, shitty bosses.
Musk?
Elon was all over me today.
Elon. Good luck with all that. And you can follow Matt at Matt Modderno on Twitter. And also at BLEAV in Wizards. Catch his podcast every Monday-ish with Larry. And, of course, his articles coming out, Bullets Forever here, next day or two?
Sometime tomorrow, I hope.
All right. Well, good luck with all that. We'll see you next time. And that's all I got.
See you, boys.
Later, buddy.
Take it easy, Matt. Thanks, man.
Hello, it's Tyler Roman, former NFL scout and host of the Roman on the League podcast. Every week, I update my mock draft that not only looks at the best players available, but the needs for all first-round teams. The draft board keeps changing with all the movement this year, so tune into my show, Roman Around the League. That's ROMAN Around the League podcast. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast, and check out all of the great shows from Empire Media.
Support for this podcast comes from PayPal. Small business owners, turn your smartphone into a cash register. PayPal QR codes are the safe and easy way to get paid in store, and they deliver the same security and trust PayPal is known for online, in person. Even if you're a cash-only business, with PayPal QR codes, you can accept credit or debit with everyday low fees. There's no additional hardware or software needed. Generate your unique QR code from the PayPal app and display it on your device, or print it to display in store. Customers scan your code with their PayPal app. You only need your smartphone. Learn more at paypal.com/us/getqrcode.
Empire.
Thanks again to Matt for coming on. Always appreciate it. Always welcome back.
I'm sure he will be back. I mean,
you think so?
Yeah, we'll have him on again.
I think you angered Matt a little bit. I don't know.
Good. I got to get some spice in his life.
All right, Noel. It's that time again. Time for another Top 5 Friday.
As promised, we deliver.
Always. Unless we're on spring break, and then you won't hear from us for a while.
Yeah, or on the weed.
On the weed, yes. That'll slow anybody down. But on today's installment, we are going back to our roots a little bit. We're going to talk about something really stupid. And those are always the most fun, I feel like, with the top fives.
I totally agree. Just dumbing it down. I mean, it's not very difficult for us to do that, but we're going real down.
We go out of our way to make ourselves sound as stupid as possible.
We're down in the sludge somewhere.
Yeah, and after last week, it got a little heated, so I thought we could do something a little more fun and
less real.
Relaxing. Yeah. So we're going to go through our list of top 5 weirdest sports. So these are all around the world. They're really unknown by most.
Not just weird. Some of them are dumb as shit.
Oh, yeah, they're dumb. These are actual sports, and most of them with commissions. They have world championships, all that kind of shit. Think of like the cornhole national championships.
When cornhole came out, when did you ever think that at some point in time that would become a freaking national sport? And here we are. And now some are following suit or have been around for a long time and you didn't even know it.
Yep.
We're sorry that we're making you know it.
So these are legit sports that apparently people take quite seriously.
Yeah, man.
Most of them, or at least on my list, come from Britain for whatever reason. They just keep coming up with dumb shit, and I don't know. You think that they're very classy, high-end folks with that British accent that they have.
Please, don't let that accent fool you, my friend.
Yeah. Well, let's get this thing started. What's your number 5, Noel?
Well, this one isn't the dumbest one I've ever heard of. There's a lot crazier ones and weird ones out there, but bubble soccer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know those bubbles that people put on and like roll down a hill and stuff, or you go to those big sumo suits that you put on and you bang into each other.
Yeah.
Or you see them on like America's Funniest Videos, and I don't know, they just make me laugh. I just think they're so dumb. It's hilarious to see someone
You are dumbing this down.
I know.
It just makes me laugh.
It does. When someone just boing and then just hits off. Well, they have a league called Bubble Soccer to the point that they have a freaking World Cup. All right, it's 5v5. They've got countries. They've got everything. And they're in these stupid big-ass bubbles with their little feet dangling out. All right.
Okay.
And they kick the ball around and just try to score goals. Standard soccer rules on a smaller field, like more close to like indoor. It is hilarious. Check it out. I mean, these people are bouncing all over. People will come in full speed, like to tackle, and boom. And the person will like fly 15 feet. It is awesome. Yeah. It is so good.
Is it a regulation size soccer ball or in goal?
Yeah.
And all that?
Oh, yeah. Size
They're not
5.
using like a big blow up.
No. Not bubbles hitting bubbles. No.
I got you.
They got your standard soccer ball. They try to kick it the best they can with with like their legs just dangling out. It looks like a cartoon. It's hilarious. Check it out.
I will. All right. Good way to start things off. Noel, I'll start with my number 5.
Yep.
Mine is shin kicking. This is a real thing. So this, as I mentioned, originated in England in the early 17th century. So this is old school.
It is a pretty simple process. You kick my shin. Okay, I kick your shin.
It's considered a combat sport, and it involves 2 contestants attempting to kick each other in the shin until one hits the ground. Simple. You can't get much simpler than that. They actually have a shin kicking world championship, and it's a part of the Cotswold Olympic Games. It's an annual event held over in Dover's Hill, which is north of a little English town called Chippen Camden.
It's their like city sport, where each place has a sport that they're renowned for. This is their thing. This is what they do to bring people in. Good for them.
What's the British people, like this part of the country that like the redneck one that they make fun of their accent? I'm assuming it comes from that, like the Beckham accent. You're like,
I don't think they all sound nasally like that, but yeah, like the people that are, most people make fun of like the Welsh and stuff because they have that garbled talk or the Scottish, but I know what you're talking about. It's got to be like the West Virginia of Britain.
Yeah, it's like making fun of like people from Alabama or something. They're slow and shit.
Not our fans, but other people from Alabama and West Virginia.
We've offended them.
We've been kicked in the shins, right? I've got dents all over my shins from soccer.
It just happened to me yesterday.
I mean,
actually walked into something on my shin.
Walking into a table.
Oh, it's the worst.
Well, you see these guys in kickboxing and shit. They just bash each other in the legs and in the shins and all that.
That's why you wear shin guards.
Yeah, a sport specifically based on, I am going to kick the shit out of you until you drop.
Right.
That's it. You got to be pretty damn hardcore, man. Because the shin is about as... You think Alex Smith could do it, Matt?
Oh, and his good legs, probably.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on. What's your number 4, Noel?
My number 4 is cheese rolling. Speaking of Britain, it's an annual event, huge annual event in Gloucester, England. Okay. And they take this big... what you would call Gloucester cheese wheel, and this hill. And this ain't no, like, little hill. This thing is a beast, okay?
A beast hill.
It's such a beast hill that this cheese wheel gets up to, like, 70 miles an hour by the time it goes down this damn thing. If nobody's seen this, you gotta look at it. They have a little... It's so popular, they have a segment on Netflix about it. It's awesome. So this whole fucking town... They chase this stupid cheese wheel down the hill.
And they're just flipping and flopping.
Flopping, doing wheels themselves. I mean, people are barrel rolling down this damn hill to catch this stupid cheese wheel. And one year, like 33 people got injured and had to go to the hospital. That's how hardcore this thing is.
I'm sure somebody's died going down that hill.
Oh my gosh.
Broken necks and shit.
It was so bad, and I'm sure this hospital isn't, NIH. It's probably kind of small. They had so many people in the damn hospital that they had to wait and get those people healed, have those other people go home, sit at home with their injuries, and then they brought them in later on. It's insane.
Well, that hospital apparently is prepared for COVID now, though.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's what they told the COVID patients. Go home. We'll get to you when we can.
Yeah, we have the cheese wheel competition.
Yeah,
we don't have time for you.
Yeah, right. But man, I'm telling you, it's nuts. It's like a weekend event. A lot of these places and the things that we say here are smaller towns that are coming up with some gimmick, or some bullshit that they say is traditional. But this thing's been around for centuries. This is what they do there. So
I thought you were going to say like a bunch of people rolled down cheese and see who got to the bottom first.
That would be good. Or like to get to the finish, like who can roll the wheel to get to the finish line. Like we used to do that with quarters to see if you could land it or lean it onto a wall.
I didn't think humans would be rolling down the hill with it.
You chase that sucker down the hill like a dog to a tennis ball, man. And people die trying.
Well.
Nuts.
I got to check that one out.
You do, man. It's awesome. Netflix it up.
Will do. All right, my number 4 is toe wrestling. If you don't know what toe wrestling is, because I didn't until today, toe wrestling involves competitors going toe-to-toe, I guess you could say. So this sport, it actually dates back to 1976, when, again, the Brits, they were looking to gain a world sports title. So the rules are simple here. Take your socks and your shoes off. two competitors interlock their toes and try to pin down their opponent's foot. Kind of like thumb wrestling, except with your disgusting feet. So I was watching some videos on this. These people take this shit seriously. There's a lot of people around.
Like getting themselves psyched up. Like, they have a guy behind them, like the trainer, and they bat feet together, like, ah!
They have some nimble feet, these people. Like the toes, I don't know how they do it. Yeah, like if you think about a thumb war, I guess, right? Kind of the same principle, but I don't know how you can move your toe individually to put another toe down. So
before that, though, you were saying that Britain was trying to get a world championship, so they invented this sport?
Yes.
That's fucking... But before you even get to how sad toe wrestling is...
Yeah.
That is fucking sad. You created this stupid-ass sport just so you guys could say you were world champions in something. That's pathetic.
Yeah, they should be ashamed of themselves.
They should. And on top of that, you couldn't even come up... Yes, there's 2 sports that we've invented. Excuse me, 3. Well, there's 3 sports that we've invented. Rugby, soccer, toe wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of in the same category.
How do you know if you're good at it? How do you train for something like this?
How do you train for any of these? I don't know.
You just lock toes, and the agility in that middle toe that you have, you're bred for this, sir. You are bred for this.
Like Costanza with the hand modeling.
The hand modeling.
He had no idea. Yeah, like how do you know that you have a nimble toe that can hold another toe down?
It's a type of sport that you suck at other sports. You're somewhat competitive as a person, and you want to go into something. Yeah. So this is what you go into. And you're a hero in this bumfuck town that you're from. Good job.
I wouldn't wash my feet for a long time if I was doing that, you know?
You know that they do.
Do you get an advantage when you do that?
You put snot on the ball.
You're going to look so
Major League. Like, hey, man, you got to get anything you can out of it.
All right. Noel, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is extreme ironing.
Hey, me too. That is fucking crazy, this thing.
This is the dumbest. If I didn't have dumber ones, this would have been well, I guess that's why I put it at number 3.
Another British sport.
I mean, but it's everywhere now.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe when I looked this up how this has evolved into extreme ironing. So just to give you an idea, this was started in Britain, and people were taking their ironing boards, their irons, obviously, and a shirt or pants or whatever, and deciding to do ironing in weird locations. That's how it started. The pilot light. That someone said,
really got things going.
I'll go do it in the woods. Take a stupid picture, put myself on TikTok or whatever the hell they want to do. But no. We're going to one-up that. Now a guy's going to do it on like a mountainside. Then it goes up to skydiving.
There's a video of this. It's crazy.
I know. It's nuts. There's like 3 people surrounding this stupid ironing board, and they're ironing on it. Cool.
They actually have a bureau, Extreme Ironing Bureau. So they have like a governing body over this insane sport, which is one of the most absurd things I've ever seen.
They have judge competitions and creativity and how extreme your ironing is.
Is the next one they're going to jump into a volcano with it? I'd like to see that. They should all do it. I wouldn't be sad.
If you are that ridiculous that you came up with this and you're deciding on different ways to iron, then I don't know what else there is for you to do.
I didn't really understand. Do they judge how crisp the shirt is after this?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
And that's what's even crazier about it. It's not bad enough. In the extreme ironing world, you can't respect a person enough to do it like in the upper stratosphere of the earth. The shirt needs to be crisp too and starched.
Well, that's the most important thing.
I guess you're right, Matt.
I think that's what the competition is.
Right.
I guess if you're skydiving, if you can't make a shirt crisp, then you have no business.
You have no business in extreme
what are you even
ironing.
doing here?
You're just a skydiver like anybody else.
Exactly. All right, well, good. We got through number 3 there. So what's your number 2, Noel?
My number 2 is wife carrying.
I feel like I do that every day of my life.
Yeah, right? So wife carrying is a sport that started in Finland and has become an international sensation, to the point now that each country has their own national competitions to meet at the World Championship in Finland. So to give you an idea, it's pretty self-explanatory. You're obviously carrying your wife, in this case physically, not mentally or financially.
Emotionally.
Your wife has to be a minimum of 108 pounds, and you proceed to go on this obstacle course, which is about 250 yards long. It's got water, it's got logs, sharks.
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, basically.
Yoda.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're carrying... Yes.
Maybe it came from that.
Feel the force. So there's different ways in which you can carry your wife. There's like fireman carry, you do it across the back. But a popular one is this.
I'm a wrestling fan. I know what a fireman's carry
is. I know. I knew you would. I'm just making sure the fans do. Right. And then you've got the Estonian Carry, which is basically a reverse 69. She wraps her legs around your neck and is basically a backpack that way. And her face is in your ass. And you're just running down the course.
Hold on, is her face towards the ass or away from the ass?
The back of her head is banging against your ass while you're running. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay, go ahead though.
And you're running down this course. So you have, obviously best time wins. Winner gets weight of the woman's in beer. That's one of your wins. And weight of the woman in cash. But you have to have a minimum of 108. Now, some of these Finnish dudes, they're big guys, and they've got like this little one on their back. They find the littlest girl just for these competitions. I guess it's kind of like a jockey. You want the smallest one that you can get. But, they should do a handicap one where the guy has to, she has to put on, sandbags or some shit and hold those. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it is huge in Finland. Absolutely huge. It's so big. They do a huge opening ceremony with flags. You walk through the town.
Olympics. It should be an Olympic sport.
It should. Wife carrying. It's been around since like the 1700s too. But men have been carrying their wives a lot longer than that, I promise you.
Yep. Men can work from sun to sun, but a woman's work is never done.
Except in the wife carrying competition.
You're right about that. All right. Well, my number 2, this is an interesting one. It mixes two very odd sports that have no business being together. It's chess boxing. So it kind of speaks for itself, but I'll kind of explain to you what chess boxing entails. So a chess boxing fight consists of 11 rounds, 6 chess, 5 boxing. You alternate between each sport and lasting 3 minutes. So you box, then you do chess, and then you go back to boxing.
Unbelievable.
A competitor may win by knockout, technical knockout, checkmate, or their opponent becoming disqualified, resigning or exceeding the time limit in the chess rounds. Typically, as the fight goes on, the standard of the chess, understandably, drops because they're beating the living shit out of each other. In the event of a tie during chess, the match is determined by the number of points earned during the boxing. If the fight ends in a tie, the winner is the combatant using the black chess pieces in chess, which is kind of bullshit. Is that like champion's advantage type of thing? Or is the champ always going to use black?
Yeah, probably. Kind of like the Ryder Cup and shit. Like the team that doesn't have the title has to win, and if you tie, it's outright. Yeah. Regardless, you gave me a million rules there. At the end of the day, it's fucking chess boxing, and it's stupid. So what do? You sit there, play chess for 3 minutes, and then all of a sudden you hear ding ding, and then what do? Just toss the fucking table out of the way, and they just go. They just go to work. Do they have the gloves on while they're playing?
I don't believe so. I think that they take the gloves off.
That's a skill in itself, man.
Well, but these aren't real boxers. They're not like taped up and shit. It's like those boxing gloves you used to use and beat the shit out of me with.
Those old Sugar Ray Leonard gloves that I had. Beast.
Yeah. So you want to hear a story about this? Noel's 5.5 years older than me, and we were children. So what he would do, we had one pair of gloves, the Sugar Ray Leonard. They were red. I remember the signature on the glove.
Oh, yeah.
And we're both left-handed. So Noel was nice enough to give me the left-handed glove to cover my left hand, the red one.
I didn't want you to hurt your hand.
That was nice. But we had snow mittens for the other hand. So I had the boxing glove on my left hand, and Noel had the snow mitten on his left hand. And he would genuinely punch me in the face with the snow mitten with very little padding.
No give. You had this nice padded boxing glove on your left hand, and I had this freaking little slip-on mitten, that gray slip-on mitten. Oh, man. I used to wallop you with that thing. It was great. It had just enough give for my hand not to hurt, but not enough for your face.
Yeah, it was a good. Solid move. But back to the chess boxing, whatever this is. In case you're curious, the motto of the World Chess Boxing Organization, and that's a real thing, is, quote, "Fighting is done in the ring and wars are waged on the board."
Oh, my gosh.
I'll leave it at that.
The pen is mightier than the sword.
So stupid. All right, Noel, what's your number one?
My number one is, this one's nuts. Mm-hmm. Absolutely nuts. It's called Buzkashi, okay?
Bukkake?
No, a different sport.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Go ahead, sorry. I was confused for a second.
It is a team game. But the opponent, there's not just one opponent.
Okay, all right.
But anyway, we digress. It's called Buzkashi. It's a sport out of Central Asia, Afghanistan, and places like that. This is a sport, and it translates into goat dragging, is what Buzkashi means.
Oh, okay.
So this is basically, they're on horseback.
Jesus.
And they have a dead goat.
Well, at least it's already dead. That's a good thing, I guess.
I mean, it had to be killed, though, in order to play the game, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, they have two teams of, I don't know, however many fucking players. It's like a polo match. The difference is you're holding a fucking big-ass goat like a football, and you're taking it, and they have two holes on each end of their end zones, and you have to dunk this goat into the fucking hole to score a point. It is absolutely nuts. Now, the goat doesn't have a head, and it doesn't have hooves.
Well,
so
obviously
it weighs about 90 fucking pounds. So these guys are dragging this sucker around. It hits the ground. They have their horses trampling on it to make sure the other team doesn't get it. It is absolutely nuts.
So they only have one goat.
One goat.
Okay, so that's like the football. I got you. Okay,
yeah,
so
it's
like
the
a basketball.
Football, like fumble. And then they'll go over there and grab it, and then one guy will get it. They've got like a running back that they block for with the horses.
Yeah, Mike Sellers up there. Maybe he's doing that these days.
Right. And they dunk it in this cylinder that's where you score points.
Wow.
And that's the game. So apparently it originated in this village.
Obviously.
The reason why it happened was because these two villages were stealing each other's goats, and the other people had to get horseback and run after them from stealing their goats. So they said, you know what? We got a game on our hands here, ladies and gentlemen. And they would proceed to have an annual event with a dead goat and battle each other to the end. Amazing. Check it out.
That's awesome. I wonder why they decapitated the goat and dehooved it, if that's even a word.
They didn't want to hurt themselves. Maybe it's a little hard. They want the squishy body. I don't know. It's fuck the goat. It's my well-being.
The goat brain is a delicacy, I'm sure, around there.
Absolutely. I'm sure that was in a stew while they were doing it. And then afterward, the winner gets the goat head stew.
Yeah. Hey, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
All right. Well, finishing things off, my number one, I don't think it's as good as the goat head thing, but it's called Slaps.
This is hardcore, man. Speaking of Netflix, that one's on there too.
Is it?
Check it out.
I gotta show. Yeah, I had no idea. So just so we're clear, Slaps has no governing body.
It's in Russia mostly. So are you really shocked by that?
Not at all.
They probably have this shit on the black market, and people are betting thousands upon thousands of dollars on it. Fucking
biting chicken heads off.
Throwing games.
So if you haven't figured it out already, I mean, Slaps is just basically it's very simple. Two men stand face to face and take turns slapping the living shit out of each other as hard as they possibly can. They do this with their bare hands. There's no head protection. Each man has 5 attempts at slapping, and basically whoever falls first is the winner.
It's not even necessarily a fall sometimes. Sometimes a guy's face is so mangled at some points and so swollen that they're like, all right, they quit. They can't take another shot. I mean, we're not talking about some geek that, like, in a fist fight decides to slap you in the face. These guys are like world's strongest man shit that have like a hand like a damn mitt, a catcher's mitt.
One thing I wanted to mention though, no earshots on this one.
Well, good for them.
No.
Yeah, I mean, they got rid of that. They saw the NFL and said, no, man, no Deacon Jones shit.
How many people are pissed off about that? It's like,
that was like their patented move.
Yeah. It was their patented move.
Yeah.
When, they took away like clotheslining the quarterback.
Right.
They're like, this is becoming a pussy sport.
That's what I'm saying. Deacon Jones couldn't survive today, man. But there's this guy that I know just off the top of my head. He's called Dumpling. Complete beast in it. This Russian dude. He's the type of guy like the bouncer from hell if you were to run into this guy in a back alleyway. He is like one of the all-time champs. Crushes it. If you've ever seen Game of Thrones, and I know you probably haven't, Matt, which is blasphemy.
First 3 episodes.
The Mountain.
I know him.
That's basically what this dude is. And he goes in there. I saw this one match where he had this little guy in overalls in front of him that looked like it was his first rodeo.
He's caught air, probably.
He almost slapped himself in the face just to get the fuck out of there. This thing is nuts, man. It's nuts. They have techniques. They swing back like
you gotta cup the hand properly,
motion. Cup the hand properly. It's like a golf swing. You just have to make sure you get that thing in there right. Keep that elbow close. It's nuts, but check it out. It is crazy.
All right, great. Well, I think that'll do it. I think everybody's dumbed down enough, and hopefully we can come back from this. No guarantees, though. That's going to do it for this episode. We're on all major podcast platforms. Please rate, review, and subscribe. If you like this show, please share it on social media. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, the Facebook group, and our website, beltwaysportsbros.com. Thanks again for listening. We hope you have a great weekend, and we will see you Tuesday.